Hey there, my name is Pravus, and welcome to Builders of Greece. This is a new upcoming city builder where I build out a classical-era Greek village and bring Hellenism to the uncharted and uncivilized wilds. The game is currently only available on Steam in a prologue demo format. I believe that the demo is trying to get ahead of the game with the Steam Next Fest coming up very soon. Still, seems promising, and I really like the idea of building up a city in either ancient Greece, or Rome, or Egypt, or Mesopotamia, so we're going to go ahead and give this one a go and see what this game has to offer. It appears there was some sort of a large storm, and all of our ships are being diverted to some island off the coast of Greece. This is where we are going to establish our new home. Of course, as civilized Greeks, we have our priorities straight. It's not just survival and prosperity economically. No, we want to build out a theater, one that will even make the gods weep for its beauty. Yeah, very classical Greek. There are no higher priorities in life. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Shut up, Mr. Advisor Guy, I don't need you. First thing we need to do is place down the Agora. This is basically your town center, so we'll go ahead and place that probably right around here. Okay, and with that placed, you can now see we have a bunch of citizens that are homeless and wandering around aimlessly. Unsurprising, the first thing we need to do is build out some residences. This is going to cost me some wood and some stone and some drachmas, which is a form of currency that we will be generating in the form of taxation from our people later on. Always good to be placing your residences close to the Agora because that's where they'll gather up the basic resources they need to survive, like fish, like meat, eventually wine and stuff. I mean, come on, what kind of self-respecting Greek isn't going to drink a lot of wine? And there we go. Now notice that the buildings are instantaneous here, which I think is a little bit unfortunate because I think that the instant gratification does take a little bit away from a game as opposed to gathering up resources and actually building things up and waiting for it to be done, as long as it doesn't take for absolute ever. But oh well, that's just the direction that developers have decided to go with, and I will try to support them. Let's place down some roads over here. These also cost me some drachmas, but increase your travel time for all of your people, and it's relatively cheap, so there's no good reason not to do it. With 8 cottages, that's pretty good. We don't have any homeless people available now, but we do have 13 workers that are ready to do things. 3 adults are already employed at the Agora to pick up resources and drop them off. 13 more to go. We can build out a fisherman's hut, or we can build out a hunter's lodge. Now, when you build out a production building, as you'll see down over here, it's going to have its resources picked up and brought over to the Agora. As a result, as you can see from this blue line, they'll be connected for their logistics. You don't want to build too far away because you can see over here that the blue line is gone. It's too far away for people to have to pick up resources effectively, so you really don't want to bother with that. Place it somewhat close by, not too close, but somewhat close, like let's say this, and that will do the job just fine. So now we need to get some basic resources so I'll be able to continue with my construction projects. We need woodcutters' houses and we need quarries. Let's go back to our production queue over here. So let's see, a quarry like this would be allowed to pick up some of these rocks, mine them up, and bring them back to the town. So I'll go ahead and place one of these quarries down over this direction. And we'll also go ahead and place down a woodcutter's house where they can build up their own trees. So as long as you have a lot of flat space to work with, it doesn't matter all that much where you place it. I don't mind placing this, let's say, how about over here? I mean, at the end of the day, the overlap with all of the hunting areas really shouldn't matter all that much. Your citizens will automatically be sent to be employed in any location with any job openings. So, for example, the woodcutter house, we now have 4 out of 5 people working here. You can control the number of adults that work here if you so desire. At least at the beginning of the game, though, I think it is worth having everybody on deck. So, let's wait for a moment and you can see how this is going to work. Some citizens are on their way to the quarry, for example. We can see all the people who are supposed to be working here, that they are currently wandering around and doing absolutely nothing. What a bunch of scumbags. That's fine, though. If we go here to General, once these people arrive on site, we'll be able to start seeing them work on their jobs. In the meantime, though, the game does want me to start working on the construction of said theater. So let's go to our, I think it's the administrative building? No, service building. There it is. This is going to cost me a lot of drachmas plus some wood and some stone, but that is fine. Let's go ahead and place down the unfinished building project close to the Agora, probably right around over here, I guess. Now, this is a multi-stage construction effort, all right? So right now, all we have is a very basic foundation. If you want to build up to Tier 1, you're going to have to spend some of those resources over here, and it's going to take some time for it to actually get constructed. Let's go ahead and build this, though, and that'll be Tier 1 of the theater completed when it is done. Now, over here in the quarry, we can see people are working. Okay, so folks are going to start working on this, and it very slowly generates some stone. The same thing is going to be true over here with the woodcutter's house. We have very small quantities. Now, one thing that I think is going to be a little bit irk some folks in this game is it feels like it takes forever to generate some of these basic resources, and the answer is it kind of does. The good news is you usually don't need a lot of resources to construct anything. For example, only 1 wood and 2 stone in order to build up some of these cottages, which, you know, that's not too bad in theory. The reason I think you can kind of get away with this long time to produce any resources is because you don't need very many. Imagine we were playing another game where it takes, let's say, 10 stone to build something, but you generate the stone a lot faster. It could very well be that it takes almost the same amount of time to generate the same resources to build a home, but when you don't have more discrete numbers, more integers and such of stone in between, it feels like you're not making a lot of progress. So that's kind of one of those weird areas where psychology in the gaming world actually kind of does matter. Some people are going to get disappointed by that. I can just predict that right about now. But I don't think it actually matters that much, nor is it unreasonably slow. That said, you know, speaking of slowness, all there is to do right now is just sort of sit back and wait for some more stone so I can get more houses, so I can get more workers. Honestly, it may not be a bad idea to go ahead and place down another quarry. I know we don't have a lot of workers to spare right now, but considering how long it does take to get some of those resources, I don't mind. I think it's fine. Oh, there we go. The first stage of the theater is constructed, because again, the Greeks have their priorities straight. If you want to move on to tier 2, we're going to need a lot more of the wood and stone, plus some tools. I have no tools right now. Now, there are more resources in this game than just what you're seeing in the top menu, and this is actually one thing I kind of like about the UI here. You can click on this and decide which resources you want to track. So for example, I'm going to need to start producing clay, and I'll also need to start producing some ceramics, grapes, wine, tools, etc. We can just go ahead and pick and choose what do we want to see up here in the top bar. Now, how do your resources actually get distributed into your town? Well, once one of these buildings has produced some sort of a resource, one of the 3 Agora workers is going to then run down over here. We can actually see a blue line of the person who just got assigned the job. This guy is going to then follow the road, run down here, grab it, and bring it back. Whatever quantity is currently stored up seems to be able to be delivered at the same time, so the faster you can produce your resources, generally speaking, the more efficient this is going to be. Now again, the further away your buildings are from the Agora, the longer the travel time for resources and the less efficient your logistics are going to be. Something worth doing is placing down warehouses. This does require some workers, which can be a problem, and it does have a maintenance cost in your drachma, so it can really hurt your income, but placing these in areas that are close to any other production centers can be a lifesaver. So down over here, for example, I can place down a quick little warehouse way down over here, right? And then maybe I'll place down another food production building. We want to get a fisherman's hut. I can place this over here, and it would have been too far away from the Agora, but it's really close to the warehouse. Therefore, the travel time to deliver resources is very low, and that means our economy is just a little bit more efficient. This is going to be extremely important when we now need to go find ourselves some clay, right? So I can see in the bottom left over here we have a map, which is showing all the current stone deposits, which can be used up, by the way. This is not an infinite resource. If you look all the way down over here, there is a clay resource right in this area. There's another one over here somewhere. I think it's right over there, and then there should be another one right over here, etc. That's obviously way too far away from my Agora to be very useful, which is why we have to make use of things like the warehouses. While we're waiting for some of the wood to generate over here, one thing we can do is go over to our technology panel. Yes, this is a thing in the game where you can research some upgrades to make you a little bit more efficient and also unlock new building types. For example, maybe we want to get ourselves maritime trade. We can get ourselves a port. That could be nice. I need more wood for that to work, but it's an option. We could also go ahead and boost up the efficiency of our wood cutting. We could get the Ares Square. We could get some various different military units and so on and so forth. All this can be good, but it does take a lot of drachmas plus a lot of time in order to actually complete any research. Also, you'll gain these research technology points. I have no idea how you generate these. This might be just kind of a permanent +1 thing, or maybe there's something we can get later on like a library that's going to boost this up. I'm not sure. All right, so what's my objective right now? Well, we are getting some clay, right? And the idea is that we'll want to start making some ceramics. The ceramics specifically are for the purpose of making wine. Yes, again, the Greeks have their priorities straight. Do we want, like, wheat crops and stuff? No, we want to go ahead and start immediately planting down some vineyards and generating some wine. So maybe we should go ahead and place down one of these ceramic workshops, let's say right over here. Perfect. Why is wine a priority? Well, because every one of your citizens does have a happiness rate. If we click on some of these houses, we can see what's going on. So right now, our normal thetis, or however you pronounce these guys, which are kind of like our commoners, have some demands. They need fish and they need meat. If we are able to meet those demands, then they will have some happiness. We are currently not meeting their demand for wine, which means they're kind of indifferent to me right now. The happier they are, the more efficient their work productivity will be. Right now, we are down to only 60%. So it is worth the investment in the wine in order to make sure that we get more productivity everywhere else in our economy. If you find yourself with some spare resources, it's not a bad idea to continue building out some more of these cottages, as long as you can find a way to get some food generation to match up with it. Your people do have a birth cycle in this game, right? So the more people that pair off into these respective homes, the more opportunities there are going to be for more children, and as children grow up, they become working adults. Unfortunately, it does take a very long time for people to have babies and for them to grow up. As we can see, there are 0 children in our town right now. You will occasionally get some immigration events, and those can obviously be very helpful. But so far, at least, it does seem to be at least somewhat random when you're going to get that. I say that, and we just suddenly got 4 children birthed. Okay. Oh, here's an event, and it's unfortunately not one of the immigration events. Darn it. All right, treasure discovery. We can gain 300 drachmas, or we can give it to the people and boost their happiness. I'm actually going to go ahead and put that in the treasury, because when I want to start working on some of these researches, I'm going to need a lot of money. Let's go ahead and start researching the maritime trade. You can see here that there is a progress bar. It's going to take a while. The good news is you can actually research multiple things at once. There's really no downside to doing that. Your limitations really are just going to be drachmas and also these technology points, which again, generate slowly over time. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about planting down some of these grapevines. So something we need to do is go ahead and place down a grapevine plantation. Now you can see the area that it is allowed to work. It's not going to work all of this space, so don't feel too bad about it if you decide you want to do a little bit of space inefficiency, like something like, let's say right here. That's fine. Then what you do is you click on the plantation, and if you go to general here, you can click on this, and this allows you to plant down up to 6 of these little vines over here. So we'll do something kind of like this. And that's about as space efficient as it gets, though you will notice that our vines currently don't have any water. We need to go to the administrative buildings and place down a noria. This is a water wheel, and it irrigates fields, so we can plant it over, let's say, something like this. And do I want to place it there, or do I want to place it elsewhere? I might place down a second vineyard over here somewhere. How about a noria up over this direction? Like, let's say right here. And that, at least as long as it has worked, is going to start providing some water in these areas. So now we'll start producing some grapes. Actually, the noria doesn't even require any workers. This is just a permanent thing. Well, that's nifty. Anyway, I want to place down a winery, but unfortunately I need 50 citizens in order to unlock the next tier of buildings. So we have to wait around for people to make more babies. I suppose one thing we can do in the meantime is place down one of these harbors, so we'll be able to start trading some resources. So let's place this right over here. Now, if we click on the port over here, get out of here, Mr. Greek man. Okay, so if we do this over here, we're gonna be able to buy and sell some resources. So for example, let's suppose that I wanna have this much stone. We can say we wanna buy up to a certain amount, or we can say we want to sell anything above a specific amount. And this is another method of gaining some extra drachmas. All of a sudden, I don't feel that bad overproducing some resources if it means I get more money outside of taxation. The same thing can be true for buying resources we otherwise do not have access to. Let's suppose we want to buy tools up to, I don't know, like 5 or 10 or something like that. Very expensive, but the next time a big trading ship, this guy right here actually, were to come through, it would automatically conduct some trades. We don't need to do that right now, so I won't waste my money because I don't really have any to spare. Unfortunately, I seem to be getting pretty unlucky right now. When I did a test game of this, I actually got 2 events for some extra citizens kind of early on. Right now, I'm having to wait for good old-fashioned Mother Nature to do its job and actually birth some dang children. I want to get up to 50 people, dang it. Oh, there we go. We're now up to 50. Of course, now I need a lot more money in order to actually place this down. Oops, dang it. Maybe I shouldn't have spent so much on some technology this early on. Didn't need to do that. Well, if we want to get some more money, one thing you can do is go to each of these individual housing units and increase the taxes. Does reduce their happiness by a fair bit, which of course means less productivity, but would increase how much money you get. Alternatively, I just try to rely on trade. We're not going to see much value in that until I start making a whole load of extra ceramics, but once I start getting an excess of that, that'll feel pretty good. There we go, that worked out pretty well. Okay, let's go ahead and place down one of them wineries. So the good news is, now that we can start producing wine using my ceramics, we should find that we are making a lot of people happier. And happier people, again, should result in more work efficiency. Wrath of Poseidon. The oracles claim that the turbulent sea is a sign of Poseidon's wrath. May not be a good idea to do anything right now. Risk an accident at sea. You know what? I can survive without fish for a little bit. So we'll just go ahead and snooze this building, or at least pull off all the workers. And yeah, that means no fish for a little bit, but that's fine. Down here, just above the map, you can actually see what the timed event is and how slowly it's ticking along. So we'll have to wait until this storm is done. Oh, this storm is extremely unfortunate, because not only am I not generating any fish, no trading ships. No trading ships means no tools, means me sitting around and doing nothing for a good long while. And y'all know how I feel about playing games where I have absolutely nothing to do for a while. Fortunately, the storm is over. That means the trading ship is on the way. We can sell off an excess of a whole load of goods, and we can buy ourselves those tools. That means we gotta make more progress on the theater. Oh, and we also discovered another treasury. You know, I would like to discover the treasury of immigration. That would be great. So, if we go back over to the theater, I have the tools, I have the materials. What I don't have is the gosh dang money, because the taxes really have not been keeping up. Is it worth at this point just boosting up the tax rate so we can bet a little bit more? Honestly, probably not. And by that I mean it's not a very significant amount of extra taxation, and if it reduces my production of resources that I'm able to sell at market, is it really worth it at that point? Whatever, we've got the money now. Let's go ahead and begin stage 2 of the construction project. Now, there are some new problems we have to worry about. Sightings of raiders and pirates means we will need to train up military units. Yes, I'm serious. If we go down here to the military buildings, we can see we have now unlocked the ability to place down a barracks and an archery range. You can use your people to start training up these units. However, it's going to cost you a fair bit of money to do so. By the way, we no longer need the stone deposit because all the stone is exhausted. Let's get rid of it. There we go. So yeah, we can train military units, but I need a lot of money in order to do that. And we really don't have enough extra citizens because absolutely zero immigration events equals Pravus is having a very bad time. The good news is raising taxes for a little bit seems to have done the job as far as getting my money back into a decent spot, and as long as we're meeting almost everyone's needs consistently, which we are with this much wine, they're back up to being satisfied, so we're getting the 70% work efficiency, which means it evened out pretty well. If you ever find yourself getting really stagnant in population, never be afraid to just go ahead and place down some extra housing. Yes, it'll consume more food, you need to balance that, that's fine. However, remember that if a house has, let's say, 3 occupants because they had a child, that child reached adulthood, well, when you build a new house, that child can move out, which frees up another spot for more children in the same house, not to mention birth rates increase in the new house. Basically what I'm saying is the growth of your population should be exponential as long as you continue to build more housing. This is important to me because I know I'm going to need a lot of expendable people in order to get myself a military, and I don't want to plop down these military buildings until I have that, because then we'll trigger some raids, and if I don't have people, they'll steal my stuff. There we go. Now I've got 6 available workers, 5 more kids, all reaching adulthood as I literally watch. That's perfect. All right, now we're going to go ahead and place down things like a quick little barracks over here, followed by an archery range right over here. Oh no, an enemy ship is on the horizon. It's almost as if I knew. Gosh dang it, there's refugees! Ah, and an enemy raid. Wait, pause. Please tell me it did not just override that event. It did. Oh, for God's sake, I finally got a refugees event, and it just got deleted. Oh. Guess how angry that makes me. Very. Right. Fine, we're gonna go over here, and we're gonna just click on one of these military buildings, and with that, we can open up a new type of unit construction. So for example, do we want to train up some infantry? Fine, here's a division. It's gonna be 9 units in total. Click on the plus, and we can start training up some silos. It's gonna cost me a little bit of money and some wood and stuff, and we get an idea of what their stats are gonna be, including their armor, their damage, their health, etc., blah, blah, blah. We're gonna wanna have at least a few of these. Plus, I'll set up a skirmishers unit as well, so we can train up at least a handful of slingers, and that will give me an advantage. I cannot believe it just deleted the refugees event like that. Good God, after all this time of waiting for an influx of extra people. Oh, I hate you too. So, the enemy ship is on the horizon indeed. We take a look down over here with our map. There it is. Yep, these guys are coming in to raid. They'll be setting down somewhere around over here or so, and then they'll make their way over, and then they'll try to get to my agora, and then they'll raid it for all it's worth. The problem is, once they start attacking, you're not able to train up any additional units, which gets really, really frustrating when you want to keep adding on more, but notice here, I can't toss anything onto this pile. So if you did not build up your military before they landed, good luck. And by good luck, I mean kiss your bum goodbye. Right, well, the music gets dramatic, and the town is going to continue functioning as normal. Let's go ahead and select my units, move these guys over here, move these guys over here. It kind of looks like this game wants to be Total War Rome or something like that, but, I don't know. Doesn't quite have the same level of epicness, does it? All right, here come the raiders. Question, are they going to actually attack this quarry before they get to my agora? I actually don't know if that's a thing they prioritize at all. No, they leave your buildings alone completely and instead make a beeline for the road so they can move faster. Fair enough. Well, let's go ahead and prepare for our inevitable confrontation. Military units, melee units to the front, slingers to the back. And hopefully you don't hit your fellows. Kill them all. All right, you can see here that our units are taking some damage. So there's certainly a chance that they are going to die, but hopefully with overwhelming forces, we can beat them without any losses so I don't hurt my population. Thank you. Hooray, we win. Everyone goes back to their jobs. And your units will start regaining their health slowly over time. I don't want to train too many more units, though, because that does have an upkeep cost. So you want to get just kind of as few units as you need to make sure you take no losses. Next thing we need to do is work on the Ares Square, a wrestling match area to entertain our people. Costs a lot of drachmas to research, and a tool. Oh well, such is the way of things, let's build it. Frankly, I think whenever you defeat a raid, you should get a boost of happiness for all your people, but that's just me. Do I even want to know how much the Ares Square is going to cost? I don't know, let's go to the service building, there it is, 530 drachmas. Sure, why not? But you can see that it is a service building that boosts the happiness of all nearby homes, which means it's still a good investment, probably. Bada boom. Alrighty, with that set up, the people have never been happier. Now it is time to fulfill our purpose. Complete the construction of the theater. Lots of drachmas, lots of tools and stone and wood and stuff. Oh, and of course the Ares Square consumes some freaking wine. I wanted the wine to make more drachmas. Fine, you know what? The people are happy. Guess what this means? Higher taxes. There, it's now exorbitant. Gosh dang it, with the wrath of Poseidon again. Ah! Whatever, that should be all the stone and everything else I need. Let's begin the construction project. And it's probably too late for this, but we'll go ahead and research the stone roads. Notice, by the way, that from the pacing of the game being as slow as it is, we have no problems generating technology points, even though we're only getting one per season, whatever this is, I don't know. Seems like a small number, and it works only because everything else in the game is a little on the slow side. Were this rebalanced, well then yeah, you might find yourself getting hampered in technology. In the beginning was the word. Oh, sorry, we had a few ships and a handful of people able to work. Okay, and that's the end of it. We have finished with the prologue. Okay, well at least this is what we built up. All that toil, all that trouble, all those weird misplaced priorities to build up this glorious theater, which is doing what exactly? Answer. It is taking your wine and converting it into a thing. I don't know what this is, but it's doing a thing. Also, that's got 5 employees. Actually, is it the same as... No, see, this is a different kind of entertainment from the Ares Square, so I'm not sure what the difference is, but there it is. Wine consumption. Everyone is extremely happy as a result. In fact, if you look here, yep, everyone's very happy. You know what that means? Higher taxes. Anyway, so that's a look at the prologue of Builders of Greece. I like the idea, I really do, of an antiquity city builder that is, again, based around whether that's Rome, Greece, Mesopotamia, Egypt, it doesn't matter. Any of that could be fun. Not everything needs to be colonial-era city builders or modern city builders. This is a good idea. I think that most of this game just suffers from a little bit of poor balancing and needs to be looked at from a pacing perspective to make sure that it doesn't feel like I'm getting needlessly punished and sitting around too much. There are going to be seasons where there's not much the player can or needs to do. That's totally fine, but drachma production is really low, or maybe the birth rate needs to be looked at, or the events, or something. I don't know. Something needs a little bit of a rebalance, otherwise this could end up being a pretty fun game. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure you hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.